Welcome back, everyone. We're kicking off a brand new deep dive, and this time we're going behind the scenes of reality TV.
Buckle up.
Oh, yeah. This one's juicy. We're diving deep into Emily Nussbaum's Cue the Sun, the invention of reality TV.
It's amazing.
It really is, yeah. It traces the whole evolution of the genre, from its surprising beginnings all the way to, well, the global phenomenon it is today.
And you know what I think is so cool?
What?
It's not just like a list of shows.
Right.
She really gets into the personalities, the motivations, and the ethical stuff. The stuff that's shaped reality TV.
Yeah. For instance, did you know that it all started back in the 1940s with Alan Funt and his hidden microphone show?
No way.
Candid Microphone.
Oh, wow.
And later became Candid Camera on TV.
Yeah.
But even back then, on the radio, it was controversial.
I bet.
People were like, is this entertainment or is this, exploitation?
That's the question, right? That question has followed reality TV, forever.
Totally. And Nussbaum talks about how Funt was basically pranking people, unsuspecting people.
Well, no.
And then broadcasting their reactions for laughs. Yeah. So people were already worried about consent and manipulation.
Back then. Huh.
Yeah. And it wasn't just a small thing. These shows were super popular.
Really?
And even critics like John Crosby,
Yeah.
they were calling them out. He called them misery shows
Yeah.
that were basically profiting from people's suffering.
It's kind of crazy to think about that, how those anxieties about exploitation are still relevant today.
It's so true.
I mean, think about online crowdfunding.
Oh, yeah?
People share, their personal hardships so publicly.
Right.
It makes you think.
It's like some things never change. The technology changes, I guess. Speaking of pushing boundaries, we have to talk about Chuck Barris.
Yes. The Dong Show.
The dating game, the newlywed game, it was all about pushing buttons.
He was the king of, humiliation television.
Yes. Lots of sex and conflict. And Barris himself was a total character.
Really?
Nussbaum talks about his chaotic energy and, honestly, kind of self-destructive tendencies.
Fascinating. It's are those personalities drawn to reality TV? Or does reality TV, bring that out in people?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But it's clear that audience participation was, evolving.
Right.
Things were getting blurrier. And then, in 1973, we have An American Family.
Oh, wow. A landmark show.
Nussbaum argues it was a total turning point.
Definitely.
It followed the Loud family, but it was so different. Slow-paced, very observational, no narration.
It was more like cinema verite than, your typical TV show.
It was a big departure from those family sitcoms.
Huge.
I wonder what audiences back then thought.
They were probably shocked. It caused a ton of controversy, especially around Lance Loud and his, he was openly gay.
Right.
And the family ended up getting divorced.
Wow.
People weren't ready for that level of realness on their TV screens.
It seems like An American Family really pushed viewers to confront some stuff.
Absolutely. Their own ideas about family and privacy and, what should even be on TV.
And what's so wild is that the original footage is gone.
What?
Nussbaum says it was destroyed.
No way. That's incredible.
Well, we can't really revisit it with a modern perspective.
Oh, that's such a shame. It would be so interesting to see how it holds up today, wouldn't it?
Right. And how our views have evolved.
Totally.
But then we move into the 1980s and things take another turn. We get more sensational stuff like Geraldo Rivera's drug busts.
Oh.
And, of course, Cops.
Classic.
And, those shows really blurred the lines between journalism and entertainment.
Especially Cops. I mean, that show was huge. But looking back, it makes you think about the ethics,
Right.
How it portrayed law enforcement.
It's interesting how it got canceled, right after the George Floyd protests.
Yeah, it makes you think about how cultural events can, force us to reevaluate things.
Absolutely. Even TV shows that have been around forever.
Exactly. They have a lot of power to shape how we see the world.
And finally, we arrive at what many consider the birth of modern reality TV. MTV's The Real World, and of course, Survivor.
I remember watching The Real World. It was a game changer.
Right.
The casting, the house, the drama.
It set the stage for so much of what we see today.
Yeah. And even back then, so much of it was, constructed.
Yeah, it's like pulling back the curtain and seeing the wizard.
Right.
You see how much is manipulated, even if they're trying to show real life.
It makes you wonder, how much is real and how much is just for the cameras?
That's a question that's haunted the genre from the start. Even with Alan Funt's hidden microphone,
The eternal question.
And then we get Survivor, which became this global phenomenon, competition, strategy, human drama.
Epic.
But getting it on screen was tough.
Real?
Nussbaum talks about all the behind-the-scenes stuff, filming in like remote locations.
Yeah.
There was even a contestant who tragically took their own life on the Swedish version.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah. And then just all the work to create those iconic moments we remember.
It's incredible, though, how Survivor managed to blend those like really crafted moments
Right.
with real raw emotions, like Suhawk's speech, the rats and snakes one,
Oh, yeah.
or Richard Hatch's strategy. Genius.
It's like they orchestrated this perfect storm of drama.
It's true. And the fact that it captured the world's attention.
Amazing. But of course, with success comes, well, copies.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when things get even more interesting. But we'll dive into that after a quick break.
And as we head into the mid-2000s,
Yeah.
there's a new player in town.
Oh.
Bravo.
Oh, yeah.
They really changed things up with Project Runway and all the housewives shows.
3 hours, right?
Yeah. And they gave us this whole new world,
Oh.
aspirational lifestyles, drama.
So much drama.
And the personalities, right? The best part.
It wasn't just about the competition. It was who were these people?
Right.
They became cultural icons. Bravo celebrities.
That's
We're quoting them all the time.
Bravo just got their audience, They
Yeah.
knew what people wanted. And the viewers, they weren't just watching.
They were invested.
Totally. They were living through these characters.
And that tagline,
What tagline?
watch what happens, it was perfect.
It really was, yeah.
Because you never knew what crazy thing was going to happen next.
It was unpredictable.
Totally. And speaking of unpredictable, we got to talk about The Apprentice and, well, Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. That show is massive.
It was huge. And it presented him as this amazing businessman.
You're fired.
Yeah, he was a master deal maker, a leader.
Right.
It's crazy to think about it now, how that image, that reality TV image,
Yeah.
helped him get into politics.
He's kind of wild when you think about it, yeah.
It makes you wonder, should we have been more critical back then?
It's hard to say, The show was really popular. People loved him.
It's definitely a reminder that, reality TV can really shape how we see people.
Absolutely. And sometimes those perceptions, they're not, totally accurate.
Yeah. We got to be careful. Be critical viewers.
Yeah.
So reality TV was everywhere by this point, fashion, politics. But Nussbaum also reminds us that there were, real people behind the scenes.
Right. Working hard.
Yeah. Long hours, tough conditions. And she talks about those efforts to unionize reality TV workers.
It's so important.
Yeah. For a long time, they didn't have, fair treatment.
No job security. Bad pay.
It's like the industry tried to pretend that reality TV was different.
Yeah, it wasn't real work.
These are skilled people.
Absolutely. They deserve fair treatment, Just because a show is called reality doesn't mean their work isn't real.
So true. We can get lost in the drama, but we shouldn't forget about the people making it all happen. Thankfully, things are changing, right?
Yeah, the union efforts have gained traction.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something to think about when we're watching.
Yeah.
But reality TV, it's not going anywhere, right?
It's here to stay. It's a part of our culture,
And it keeps changing. We're seeing more diversity, more streaming options.
Oh, yeah. And social media has blown up the whole fan experience.
Right. Everyone's online talking about the shows.
Which brings us back to that big question,
The one Nussbaum keeps asking in Cue the Sun.
Yeah. What is real?
Right. With all the editing and the characters and, well, the drama.
It can be hard to tell what's authentic and what's, manufactured.
Exactly. It's as viewers, we have to figure that out.
Do we watch it critically, knowing it's all constructed?
Right.
Or do we just go with it, get lost in the story?
It's tough. But I think it's good to be aware of, how things are manipulated.
Totally. And that's why Nussbaum's book is so helpful. It helps us understand all of that.
Yeah. The complexities, the history,
Yeah.
the good and the bad.
Exactly. And, it's made me think about, my own relationship with reality TV.
Yeah.
Why do I watch certain shows? What am I looking for?
Those are great questions.
I think that's what Nussbaum wants us to do, to think critically.
Not just be passive viewers.
Right. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I think it's safe to say that reality TV, it's more than just a guilty pleasure.
It's a reflection of us,
Mm-hmm.
Our culture, our values, even our worries.
Absolutely. And it's always starting conversations. And that brings us to our final thoughts about Cue the Sun and the legacy of reality TV. So, we've talked about a lot with reality TV.
We have. From the early days, like the radio pranks,
Yeah, yeah.
to today, where it's like this huge global thing.
And all the ethical stuff, the
Yep.
behind-the-scenes stuff.
Right, right. So as we wrap up with Cue the Sun,
And Nussbaum's book, yeah.
it makes you think about like the impact of all this. How has reality TV changed our culture?
That's a big question, yeah.
It's not just entertainment anymore, right? It's like it affects how we see fame, success.
Relationships even.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like how we view ourselves even.
Nussbaum talks about how reality TV has become like a common language,
Oh, yeah.
a way to talk about things that are like hard to talk about otherwise.
It's so true. We all talk about like The Bachelor or Survivor. And
Exactly. And those conversations, they like bring us together.
even if it's all like made up drama for TV.
It's a shared experience.
And it's not just the conversations
It's the stories we tell ourselves.
about the world.
Reality TV with all the competition and like the desire for fame, it reflects us.
Oh, for sure. Our anxieties, our hopes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like we're looking for ourselves in these characters,
Even though we know it's all for the cameras.
but we still get drawn in. The drama, the emotions,
It's like we're looking for a connection, maybe.
to not feel so alone.
Yeah, in a world that can feel, lonely sometimes.
It's a weird thought, right? That reality TV, even with all the fake stuff,
The manipulation.
yeah, it might actually help us feel less alone.
It's like we're getting a glimpse into other people's lives.
Even if it's all edited and stuff, it's like this weird paradox.
Totally. We want realness, but we also want the big show.
And Nussbaum's book, it helps us like understand all of that.
It does. The good, the bad, all the contradictions.
It's made me think about like why I watch certain shows.
Me too. Like, what am I getting out of it?
Those are good questions to ask.
Nussbaum wants us to ask those questions.
To think for ourselves.
Exactly. So I think it's safe to say, like, reality TV is more than just a guilty pleasure.
Oh, for sure. It's a mirror to our culture in a way.
Yeah. Our values, what we're afraid of,
And it keeps us talking.
debating, discussing.
So as we wrap up this whole deep dive, I want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Has reality TV made us like more cynical or more empathetic?
More connected or more, like, isolated from each other?
Those are big questions.
They are. And only you can answer them for yourself. But hopefully, this deep dive, it gave you some new things to think about.
Totally. And if you want to go even deeper, definitely check out Cue the Sun. We'll put a link in the description below.
And don't forget to subscribe.
View one book a day,
Yeah.
our YouTube channel. We've got more deep dives coming your way.
So many more books to explore.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through reality TV.